Welcome to That's Well Boxing, joined by our very own Nottingham World Champion, Leigh Wood. Good afternoon, Lee.
Afternoon, guys. You all good, yeah?
All good, all good. I bet you're better than us, though, fella, with the latest news, but we'll come on to that. So, thank you for joining us. We know you've got a tight time frame, so we'll launch straight into it. So, since we had on the channel last, obviously we've had the Conlan fight. Obviously, a lot of people have been talking about the Conlan fight, reviewing it, and also almost rewriting history a little bit, Lee, if I'm honest with you. So, give us a quick breakdown of the fight and how it went, because what a fight. Fight of the year for most people at 2022. Just give us your thoughts on the fight.
Yeah, it was a fight that I had pretty much everything. The build up, a bit of needle. In my eyes, it was the hero and the villain, you could say. We both had our roles to play. Yeah, and it lived up to it on the night. Salah, both fans was battling vocally. Hopefully not physically, but yeah, it just made for a great atmosphere, a great fight, and the actual fight itself, lived up to everything that it was built to be. And it takes two to do that, so props to Michael for that as well. Yeah, and I think at the time boxing really needed it, and it's one that'll be talked about for some time to come, I'm sure.
It was proper playing mind games with you in the press conference before, wanted talking about what Ben thought about it, etc., etc. But just coming to the fight night, that knockdown, how many rounds did it take you to get over that knockdown, Lee?
In my eyes, it didn't. From my point of view, this is what happened. When I got put down, in my head, I thought I'd just touched one knee. So I thought I'd just touch one knee down. And in my head, all I was thinking was, that's the 10-8 round. I need to claw that back. And that's all that went through my head, to be honest. I knew what I had to do to win the fight. I knew that my rounds would be the championship rounds. And I was confident in getting him out of there towards the end of the fight, regardless of that happening. Because obviously in my head, I just thought it was a flash knockdown. It wasn't until after the fight, and Barry Smith said to me, "Oh, that was a heavy knockdown." And I looked around the people that I was with. I was in my changing room. I was like, "What?" I was like, "Was it?" It's like, "Yeah, your head bounced off the floor." I was like, "Oh, I thought I just touched the knee." Then it wanted to show me on the phone how heavy it was, and I thought, fair play kind of thing. I was just in the zone, and sometimes you don't realise.
And then coming to the, obviously, when you finished it, that was some shot. Surely when you connected, you knew that was good night Vienna, right? For Michael Conlan.
Yeah, as soon as the punch landed, it was like, boom, there he goes. Few for good measure. Just instantly. Not, I didn't think that instinctively you hit someone, boom, boom, you're just in that flow of throwing punches. As soon as I kind of, like, my focus, like, not my focus, but like, as soon as you break out that concentration barrier and you think, I've nailed him, I knew I'd nail him. A quick celebration, then someone said, "Oh, I don't know if he's all right," and instantly then I was like, "He might not be all right," I hit him, and I've not seen him since. Then everything else unfolded as it did.
Yeah, respect to you, Lee, because the way you conduct yourself afterwards, you're credit to the sitter because you really did manage that situation well. 'Cause like I said, you didn't know how it was going to play out, did you?
No, for sure, and I didn't know if he was all right, and if he wasn't all right, I'd never live with myself if I was celebrating without knowing how he was. Do you know what I mean? Especially when I heard he was on gas and oxygen and that. So yeah, thankfully everyone's all right, and
Yeah.
now I can share that knockout as many times as I want to my heart's content.
And obviously, Conlan's calling you out no end like he's going to. Does he need a world title belt for that rematch to happen?
Absolutely, he needs to bring something to the table because I don't need him to fill that arena anymore. I don't need him to fill the city ground. So how we went off before the fight, if there was a bit of respect there and it was such a big fight as it was, and the public demands there, that fight probably would have happened straight away. But because he went off how he did, and even after, he still not really gave me the credit I deserve. In his eyes, he just switched off. But that's not what happened. And if he thinks that's what happened, when we finally do it again, it's just him for an odd night again. But yeah, I mean, I don't need him to fill the arena. Hopefully, this is heading for Salah. the City Ground, I've got numerous names that I can help tick that box to fulfil my dream. But I would like to do the Conlan rematch again. I think there's a lot of people that want to see that again. And I'm sure down the line it can happen, but I think he does need a world title on the line to make it happen. Otherwise, there's not a lot in it for me.
And last question for me about Conlan, and I'll move on to Andy. You mentioned your analysis that Ben does with you before fights. Would you fight the rematch differently? Without giving too much away, obviously.
Yeah, without giving too much away. There is things I can do differently, which we've already spoke about. We kind of ran over it. There's a few things I do differently on the approach to making that verdict come quicker. But like I said, I had the worst start I could have possibly had. I couldn't have had a worse start unless they put me down the second round and third round. Couldn't have been much worse than that, and I still managed to stick to the game plan and get the job done. So when that fight does happen again, and you don't land that shot in them early rounds, it's going to be an hard night.
Yeah, yeah.
Leigh, just one for me on the Conlan fight. I've always been really interested in Ben Davison's a master of game plans and breaking down opponents' styles for you to pick a hole in. You got that really heavy knockdown in the first round. Did that change the game plan that he'd set out for you before the fight, or did you just have to take a step back for a couple of rounds to clear yourself?
No, it didn't really change the game plan at all. And we did certain things that would help me. Try and not give too much away. Mm-hmm. Certain things he does, certain things I do, and certain things we practice to make them situations appear. And if you look at the knockout in the 12th round, that little scenario is what we drilled hundreds and hundreds of times. Whether it be the right uppercut or the right hand, it was a little feint, occupying, pushing back, does that switch of the guard with one hand, tries to block, you can't do that sat on the ropes anyway. So that little sequence was drilled so many times, and I subconsciously after that little exchange, feint, pushed him back, went to the ropes. That little exchange right on the knockout. The amount of times I've drilled that is, well, it speaks for itself because I wasn't even thinking, and that was just subconsciously. I just did it because I've done it that many times, and it worked. And that's down to Ben Davison and Leigh Wood, studying him. There's so much more that's gone into it. It wasn't just do that because you can't just come out and do that in round 1, round 2, round 3. There was more to the game plan. But yeah, that's why I'm confident in that first game plan. In the second time round, not having to pick myself off the canvas, not having to be on shaky legs for 3 or 4 rounds, and pushing that game plan earlier and implementing it earlier to get that result quicker.
So you come out of that fight. That was March last year, and then you have a frustrating 11 months. The WBA order you versus Leo Santa Cruz, and you sat around then waiting for I don't know, discussions, the match to be made, and it never ends up happening. The man sat with the title for the best part of 4 years, not defending it. What are you thinking at this point?
In my eyes, obviously since it's been upgraded, in my eyes, I was always, from when I won the belt, I was always the legitimate champion.
Yeah.
But obviously a lot of people have got a lot to say, and especially trolls online. So now it's been sorted. It is nice to silence all them people, just to give them validation more than myself. I don't really need it, but it does give me that push going into these bigger fights now. I can unify, makes the fights a little bit bigger, silences all the critics as well. But yeah, it was frustrating time after that fight in March because the reason I haven't boxed for a year, obviously I'd got the injury in September, but that's only put me back a number of months. Realistically, the main reason that everything was stalled was because of the belt situation. Am I going to fight Santa Cruz? Am I not? Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Okay, we're doing it. It's going to purse bids. Okay, not. You can fight someone else. Then I'm going to fight someone else. Then I got injured. Then you can't fight someone else. Then do you know what I mean? But like I said, it's all done with. It's all sorted. I'm the sole champion, the WBA featherweight champion of the world. it's time to move forward.
This, I'm assuming, when it comes to negotiations, this makes it now easier for you to make possible unifications in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Unifications 9 times out of 10 trump mandatories as well. So yeah, it does make things easier, makes fights bigger, and makes me more appealing to other fighters as well, making bigger fights. So yeah, it is a bonus in that sense. But regardless of what's on the line for my next fight, I think the same people will be turning up to that arena to watch it.
How tough was it having to sit around thinking that the Santa Cruz fight was going to happen? It obviously didn't do, and then you come to the end of the year, and anyone that knows you knows from what you've said in the past. You've spoke to us before and said you want to fight the best, you'll fight anybody. In fact, I remember the last time you was on there, you just won the British title and you wanted Navarrete next. So, you know, that goes to show what you're about as a character. So you call out Maurizio Lara that everyone else has avoided. What made you pick Lara as your next opponent?
Well, at the time I picked the fight, I wanted the Warrington fight. Warrington was world champion. He had a manager in Lopez who has since took the title off him. So in my head, I was just thinking, I can't get who I want, so I can't get the champion, so let's get the guy that's beat him. Very dangerous, makes for an exciting fight. Obviously, I went and spoke to my team about it. Then went and spoke to Eddie about it, who was a bit surprised as well. But yeah, it's a fight that suits me stylistically better than my last few fights, you could even say. Probably better than my last 2 fights, maybe 3 fights. Definitely my last 2 fights. So yeah, it makes sense. Everyone's running away from him. I'm running towards him. It's a fight also that I'm going to get a lot more credit for not because of Lara, not because of his name, more to do with the comparison. Because I feel like personally, the Kanzu fight, I didn't get a lot of credit for that because there's no comparison. So I beat him and it's like, oh, he's not as good as before he was. Leigh Wood beat him, oh, he can't be as good as before he was. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like this is now where I will get my credit because they can say, well, he's the only person to stop Warrington, stop Warrington. So, you know, they can't say, oh, he wasn't as good before he was. They can't say he's had a bad night. He's had plenty of notice. He's talked a lot of shit.
I was going to say, Leigh, has he made it personal?
Yeah, there's no excuses. You know, he's called me a chicken, said I faked my injury, said all the Englishmen are running from him. So on fight night, I'll be out there and I'll be going out there to the middle of that ring to meet him in the middle of the ring. So we're going to see who chicken is.
Wow. Okay. So, Leigh, that's Lara done, like you're going to do him on the fight night. Nice and quick. So, 2023 then, if it plays out how you wanted to play out, give us a snapshot of what your 2023 looks like.
For me, it's come through Lara first and foremost. Not taking my eyes off that, obviously. I would like to tick my box and fulfill my dream of being the first person to headline at the City Ground. And then hopefully get another fight in towards the end of the year in a unification fight. Or, which could possibly be the same, the Conlan rematch. If he can pick up a world title, then it could be a unification fight, big rematch. If not, then, you know, unification fight.
So, Leigh, obviously, have you got a message for the fans? Obviously, we've got a big Nottingham following on the channel. Obviously, you've got a massive Nottingham following. Tickets are going really well. Any message you'd like to leave for the fans?
Yeah, too well. I just want to say to all the fans, you know, thank you for buying a ticket. Thank you for the support. Everywhere I go, you know, everyone's coming to the fight. I just want to say, firstly, thank you. But secondly, don't leave it last minute because this show is going to be a sellout. It's heading for a sellout. And I don't want people to be disappointed, especially if you normally come to the fight. Please find a way to get a ticket as soon as you can because I don't want people to be disappointed. There's people that follow me from Clifton Leisure Centre to where I am today. And a lot of people do get tickets towards the fight week or week before the fight. I don't think that's going to be the case or you'll be able to do that this time. is selling really fast. The 40s have gone, the ringside are low, the 80s are low. So yeah, please try get a ticket as soon as you can, and we'll see you on the night. You know, I'm coming February 18th. The best you've seen me. I'm coming for a career best performance, and I can't wait to get in there.
Well, Leigh, big thank you from Last Bell Boxing. Thank you for joining us, fella. We'll see you fight week because we've got media accreditation. So we'll get another interview with you, hopefully. But again, thanks for taking the time out to join us. And
one more thing, obviously, fight week. We have the press conference normally on the Thursday, I think it is. Weigh-in on the Friday. I would love some big numbers to turn out to that weigh-in. I'm not sure where exactly it is yet, but it's going to be around midday, 1 p.m. Details on my social media. As soon as I know some more, let's get a big turnout. Let's get some big numbers, and let's show him where he's going to be, and we'll show him what it's going to be like on fight night and City of Nottingham.
No worries. Again, Leigh, thanks for joining us, fella. We'll put all your socials in the comments below, okay, so people can hit you up on Twitter and Instagram. Good luck with the rest of the camp.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us, Leigh.
Cheers, Leigh.
Bye.